All right. No interruptions today. At least I hope not. Unless my internet service provider decides to be a bitch like Hulu. Arnold, I see you in the chat. Oh, I'll explain everything that happened last night. I will explain everything. But let's get the show started, shall we? What's up, everybody? It's 39 degrees here in New York City, coming to you live from Queens, New York. It's the morning afternoon live show with your boy Renee here, coming at you right now. What's up, y'all? I'm definitely a little bit more calmer, a little bit more zen, but I'm still mad. And I'm going to explain why that all is in a little bit. But I am back here live on a Monday, a little late, later than usual. Normally, I like to stream around 3 p.m. Eastern time. Arnold, thank you so much for the nice compliment. I appreciate you think I look good. I feel okay. I've been very busy lately. Maybe you could say I'm a little stressed out because of like all the things I've been doing behind the scenes. A lot of home renovation. I'm getting ready. This is probably going to be the last time you will see me in this location, because probably by the next time I stream live, I will be in my new spot. And I've been spending the last couple of weeks trying to prepare that new spot. A lot of painting, a lot of spackling, all that, all that stuff. So when someone like myself is as busy as I've been, and it's the Oscars, the pinnacle of the film-loving experience that I go through every year, this is what I consider to be my big game, my Super Bowl. To have it go as badly as it did yesterday was a major disappointment. And allow me to vent for a little bit and allow me this moment to just get things off my chest, okay? I am a small creator. I am a small YouTube channel. I don't really have big aspirations to be huge. I don't want to be another Kai Cenat. I don't want to be another Mr. Beast. That's not my goal here. My goal is to share my passion and love of pop culture and movies with all of you. If I could form a community and grow this channel because of that, then I am extremely happy. But also, this is a business. This is what I do as a hustle. Many would say side hustle and all that. And I have multiple side hustles going on. Some of you already know that. Every year around this time, the Oscars is a huge draw to my channel. I think I've met a lot of you because of my Oscars coverage in the past, me talking about movies and all that. It's a major big deal. And you can see by the numbers on my channel. When I cover the nominations live, huge viewership, right? And I'm very grateful and happy for that. When I talk about, my predictions and all those kinds of things like that, you look at the history of the channel, big numbers, decent numbers, respectable numbers for a channel of my size. So I look forward to, and I count on nights like last night to be very important for the growth of this channel, not just on the money side of things and business side. Of course, that is very helpful, but for community, so that I can experience my love and passion of movies with a lot of you. Give you my first reactions to what's happening as I'm watching to them live. How nice would it have been to see my reaction when Sean Baker won all those awards? And I'll talk about all that stuff later. To see me laugh and chuckle at Conan O'Brien's little wit and humor as he's poking fun at Netflix and Carlos Sevilla Gascon and seeing Adam Sandler act like a fool and Timothy Chalamet being the butt of a lot of people's jokes. It would have been fun to experience all that with all of you. But unfortunately, that did not happen. And why did that not happen? That's because Hulu was terrible with their service. For months now, Hulu and Disney have been promoting that you can now watch the Oscars live on Hulu with your standard subscription. And for the longest time, I wasn't subscribed to Hulu. They had a special Black Friday deal where you could subscribe to Hulu for just $1 a month for 12 months. I was like, this is perfect because I don't have a lot of money to spend on streaming services. I don't really watch live TV often, but knowing that the Oscars is going to be streaming on Hulu is a great draw and works for me because I needed some way to stream that so that I can react and do what I need to do here live on the channel. So here I am prepping for everything. I finished what I had to do at the other spot early so I could prepare for the night's show. Got myself all ready, and I was streaming while watching the red carpet and everything. Everything was perfectly working well and fine until 7 p.m. hit. And for whatever reason, still no major explanation given, except for some technical glitches and hiccups, Hulu went dark. And nobody that was on Hulu was able to stream the Oscars at all. I thought it was just me. Maybe my internet connection was bad. Maybe something went wrong. And I tried. The live stream that is now unlisted, I took it down because I don't think it's worth leaving up there. You could see my frustrations live on camera as all I got was a black screen. I tried logging in through the website. I installed the app. Nothing was happening. I refreshed and refreshed and refreshed. Nothing was happening. I could watch the replay of the red carpet, but nothing about no live event can be seen at all. I went online and went on Twitter to see what was happening. And I noticed it wasn't just me. A lot of people were experiencing the same thing. And I was so frustrated. All of us were frustrated. You go to a site like downdetector.com, and around that time, 33,000 people logged in complaints about not being able to log into Hulu. Now, in the grand scheme of things, that sounds very small, where you're talking about billions of people probably watching the live program, right? But still, these are 33,000 paid subscribers that could not watch a live event on your service that you were promoting for months. Very, very disappointing. And I was aggravated. I was mad. You saw it live on stream for those of you who were there, or those of you who maybe caught it on a replay when it was still available. So I abruptly ended the stream. I said, I can't do this. This is unfair to me. It's unfair to people who were watching or wanted to join me, because I'm just there now trying to solve a technical problem, trying to figure something out, right? So I ended the stream. There's no point in me going live. There's no point in me staying live. And I'm frustrated knowing the fact that the most important evening of what I do here on YouTube was ruined because of some technical issues that Hulu was having. So I quickly ended the stream, and I tried my best to see what else I could do. Yeah, I could try to sign up for free trial subscriptions to other things like Fubo or YouTube TV, but guess what? I've exhausted all of those because I've used those free trials previously multiple times for other things. So I didn't have the time, patience, or energy to create a new email address just so I could try to sign up for a quick 7-day trial or whatever the case is. I went onto my TV. I have a Hulu app. Could not log in. I went to my Xbox with the Hulu app. Could not log in. I went on my phone. I installed the Hulu app. Could not log in. And this was the case for an hour and 10 minutes. I've already missed a third of the Oscars show. Until by some miracle, I decided to try one more time. And I was able to finally log in on my Xbox to finally watch the Oscars. I forget what portion of the Oscars they were at already, but I already missed an hour and 10 minutes. Now, maybe some of you would say, well, you could have gone live then afterwards. It would not have worked. Why? because the way YouTube works and the algorithm and how they promote live streams, you got to be one of the first ones live. You got to be there early on. Because if you're not, those people who are interested in watching your live reactions are already committed to other channels, already committed to watching other people. So when I looked at my numbers for the live stream right when I cut it, I already had up to 80 views. And I think at one point I had almost 10 live concurrent viewers as the show was about to start. Gone. All gone. So on the business aspect, that was ruined for me. And I was disappointed. I was frustrated. I was angry. And there was nothing I could do about it because I personally relied on Hulu to be that service for me. Because if you look at 1 month subscription to YouTube TV at the most basic plan, it's $80 US to sign up. $80. I don't have $80 to just throw away just to watch one program. I'm not going to do that. Fubo, maybe the cheapest they have is $60. That's $60. It kind of harkens back to the days when I was growing up and you would buy a WWE or WWF at the time live pay-per-view and you would spend $40, $50 to watch that. But you know what? There was no other way you could watch a program like that back then. Now, there are multiple outlets, multiple ways. But guess what? They're all as expensive. And it's not like I could go and just choose to pay just for the Oscars. If I had the ability to spend $10 just to watch the Oscars, I would have. But there's no a la carte version of that for anything. So I was left helpless and nothing I can do. So when I finally was able to log in, I said, you know what? Let me watch the show and maybe I'll go live to do my recap live when the show is over. So here I am taking my notes, watching the program. You know, I'm catching up with everything online, with everything that I've missed. And guess what happened after that? Right before they started to announce and introduce the Best Actress category, Hulu ends the stream. The stream on Hulu ended early. And all I got was a message, a blue screen of death, as you would say in the computer world. This stream has ended, with a brief error message about some stupid time adjustment or something. And at this point, I was like, this is too comical. This cannot be reality. This cannot be happening. One of the biggest live events of the year, and Hulu just could not do it. Granted, it was their first time doing this, but they had months to prepare for this. It's Disney. They have tons of money to make sure that everything is working the way it should. With one slight thing they could have done, knowing that one, they already messed up the start of the stream. But to not adjust it so that it goes over, to make it end abruptly like it did. I didn't get to see the announcement for Best Actress. I didn't get to see the close and the announcement for Best Picture. At that point, I was so angry. I said, it's not even worth me going live because I would have been irate, furious, a little buzzed because I was drinking a little bit. You know, maybe a little high too, because I was partaking in a little bit of CBD. But I just could not pull myself together to go live because it would have been a disaster. I would have just been bitching and complaining and irate. And the whole point of me being live in the first place would have taken a back seat. And like I said, I'm a small timer. You know, I need to save my money and be careful with how I spend money on this channel. But I would like to also say, or at least acknowledge, that I think what I've been doing has been working here and there. Granted, the last couple of months, I've been a little bit slow on uploading videos and doing things and doing reviews because of everything happening in my life. But this was the one moment that I knew that I could have at least relaxed, enjoyed the ceremony with all of you, and not worry about anything, all my stresses, all that, and celebrate my main passion, and that is the passion of film. But thanks to Hulu, that didn't happen. And I'm very disappointed. And I was very frustrated. I was left helpless and I didn't know what to do. And there was nothing I could do. And they were promising, say, oh, we're sorry for the technical difficulties, but you could watch the replay and all that. They didn't make the replay available immediately. I had to wait till today to watch a replay of the ceremony. That's why I was late, because I was catching up on everything that I've missed from last night. And I was able to finally watch the program from beginning to end without any interruptions. But a whole day late. And in this news cycle and in this thing that we do called YouTube here, one day late is already too late. But here I am. I just wanted to come back here and still talk about this because there's a lot of things worth talking about. But I can't help but express how frustrating last night was, how pissed off I was, how angry I was on a personal note, on a business note, as a person who's trying to grow this community. You know, I apologize to all of you who were hoping to watch my reactions to the Oscars along with me, who either you were going to make it live or maybe watch the replay. I apologize to all of you for not being able to do that. I promise to do better. I don't know what I can do in a moment like that, but maybe next year things will be different. You know, what I will say, and I'll plea to the Academy, to those running the show, as I've read reports that this was your test to see and find a new home because you want to grow your broadcast, you want to grow your reach for your awards program. Hulu's not the route to go. I've heard that they've had multiple issues with other things in the past. And honestly, I wouldn't even know where to start. Because all of these streaming platforms are trying so hard to promote live streaming, live events, but nothing has really worked 1000% at all. You'll go back with Netflix during the Mike Tyson and the Jake Paul fight. The multitude of issues they had for that. At least with that, I could see a little something, albeit all blurry and pixelated and, you know, feeling like I'm streaming something from 1995, 96. But at least I got to see a little bit of something and I could hear stuff. You know, I didn't get a black screen. You know, I remember there were problems with the Super Bowl back in 2021 or in 2022 or whatever. You know, live streaming is still not at the point where I don't know why it's so difficult for a lot of these platforms, but they just couldn't figure it out. And they still can't figure it out. But something needs to be done because as a consumer, as a cord cutter, not wanting or willing to pay for cable, there's no real solution for live events or live TV at this point that is economically feasible. You know, right now, if I wanted to go back to cable, it would probably cost me $80 a month because of fees and taxes and all those things. YouTube TV is $80 a month for the basic plan. That's a lot of money for something I'm rarely going to use. So I don't know. This is a problem for live streaming, live event streaming, live TV. And it harkens the question, is there a better solution? You know, cable versus internet. What's best? I don't have an answer for that. But as a consumer, as someone who does this as a business, I wish there was an easier way to enjoy these things and to intake and partake in these events. Right now, there's not. And again, all I can do is just vent my frustrations, my disappointment, and apologize to the community, to all of you. apologize to the channel. You know, I hope that the rest of the year I can still do things that will bring you here, have you want to hang out with me, and all that. And I appreciate the understanding too. You know, Arnold saying sorry to hear. Today is a new day, and we can all enjoy the time together. Your fans still love you no matter what happened yesterday. Thank you so much, Arnold. I appreciate that. Kevin Davis is also here. Nice to see you as always. Oscars was just okay this year. Conan O'Brien did okay as the host. Yes, I will talk about my thoughts and feelings of the Oscars from last night. Now that I got a finally chance to watch it, and we'll go through my predictions, how well I did on my ballot, and if you yourself partook in a ballot of the night, I'd love to hear your predictions, your reactions to everything and all that, because it was definitely a wonderful evening, not for the big studios. And again, I feel like this is like a great up and comings for Disney, you know, Disney who owns Hulu, you know, and all that. But this was a great achievement for independent film, independent studios, and a major, major push for theatrical release and for the cinematic experience, which is fantastic. Arnold, thank you so much for becoming a member. I think this is your first time as a member, Arnold. I really, really appreciate you joining there. You will see that there are some member-only videos that are posted there, and I hope throughout the year I could provide more of those. And I appreciate it. And when I finally have it all set up, this will also grant you access to the Discord in the future. So thank you so much, Arnold. I always appreciate you, and I appreciate the love, as always. All right. So with all that being said, how are all of you out there? How is everybody? Arnold, when I was streaming last night, the red carpet, they had a moment where they were interviewing Sebastian Stan, and I was hoping you were going to be there at that moment, because you know, as enjoying his heritage and all that, his mom was his guest that he brought with him, and watching his mom being interviewed about Sebastian and how he was raised and how proud she is, I thought it was a very sweet moment, very, very sweet moment. So I thought that was something that you would probably would have appreciated and enjoyed there. So, but I hope everyone had a good weekend. I hope everyone had a good week. I hope everyone's doing well overall. Arnold, it's been a while since I spoke to you. I hope you have some good news in regards to your job hunt and hearing from this company that has been kind of dangling the fruit in front of you for so long. So if you have any updates, I would love to hear them before we get started into talking about the Oscars, the winners, the snubs, what worked, what didn't, all of those things. Well, we already know what didn't work. You know what I mean? Fuck you, Hulu. You could suck my balls. You blew it! Fuck off! Oh, you did see that. All right, that's awesome, Arnold. I'm glad you had a chance to see that. All right. I don't know why I'm always having problems like screwing this top back on. I'm not saying I have problems screwing. So Arnold's saying, I have to wait for a few documents only, then I can sign the contract. But if it doesn't work out, I have another job plan B from April 1st. Okay, that's good. It's always good to have a backup if something doesn't work out. So I'm happy to hear that, man. That's fantastic. That's really, really great. So at least you could say, for now, you're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, right? And that's the most important thing, right? You know you're going to get there eventually. It's just maybe it's going to go this way or that way, right? So at least that's awesome to hear. So you're happy to you have to pay a lot. Oh, I know, yeah. That's the one bad thing about adulting is the bills. All the bills you have to pay for. That's the one annoying thing. Trust me, I know that very well. Very, very well. But again, I am very happy for you. So that's really some great news. All right. Let us get started. Let's talk about the big show last night. Let's talk about the Oscars. Um, so I'm looking at my ballot right now, and out of the 24 categories, I got 15 right. This isn't. I wouldn't say that this was one of my better ballots compared to how my results looked like in previous years. But I will say this: it's a good thing. What last night showed us is that, for the longest time, I think one of the biggest criticisms for the Oscars was that they're too old. The voting academy is too old. They're not as in touch and in tune with modern audiences, younger audiences. It's a little bit too US centric, not as international as maybe the Golden Globes or other ceremonies. But for the last, I would say, maybe 10 years, they've been trying their hardest to improve. And they've been switching in new members, electing new voting bodies into the academy. And I think we're starting to finally see the difference as far as what's being recognized and what's being acknowledged. And I think last night was a perfect example of that. I think if we were to go back in time, maybe 5 years, 6 years, 10 years, my prediction for Best Picture was The Brutalist. And I think that would have been a sure win in Oscar ceremonies of the past. If you were to go back to like maybe the 2000s, a movie like Conclave would have walked away with the win. But seeing Anora not only win Best Picture, but to see Sean Baker, after years of already working in this business, doing very small independent movies, albeit they've been critically acclaimed, right? Talking about very underground and dark subject matters in all of his films. The fact that he was able to have a filmmaker's dream of an evening, winning in screenplay, editing, directing, and Best Picture is phenomenal for this filmmaker. This is like one of those, if you're going to film school or you have aspirations to be a filmmaker, this is like your utmost dream scenario. Because a lot of these independent filmmakers, a lot of these first timers, I'm not saying Sean Baker's a first timer, but I'm saying people in his caliber, with a very small budget, they announced it live on TV, $6 million budget for this movie. They filmed it here in New York, in Brooklyn. And most of the time, as an independent filmmaker, you are not only did you write the script or the treatment, but of course you're directing the movie. When it's all said and done, you're editing your own movie, right? I'm sure you'll have help from people to do the score and the music. And of course, you have your actors and the rest of the crew. But for this singular person to be able to be recognized for one film, winning 4 awards for one film in one evening, Not even Walt Disney was able to do that. No other filmmaker has been able to do that. And he did it on a small budget for an independent studio like Neon. And it's fantastic. What an accomplishment. What an achievement. And this is a big message to Hollywood and everyone else, especially, that they're not the only ones that did very well. I mean, look at The Brutalist, and what they won and what they were able to achieve. Again, A24, small independent movie studio. What Focus Features was able to do with some of the recognition that they got. And yes, Focus Features is the parent company is Universal, but still they're considered to be a small independent studio, but smaller budgets, smaller footprints, right? They were able to accomplish a lot. And I think last night's ceremony really helped showcase that, and also helped showcase that the voting body, the voting members of the Academy are very different now. Not only are they more international, but they're young. They're younger, they're more modern, they're more in tune with somebody like me, somebody like some of you out there who are into film and all that. My favorite movie, the best movie of last year for me was Anora. But I went against the grain. I went into old mind mentality when doing my predictions. I said The Brutalist was going to win. And yeah, I know certain outlets were predicting that Anora was going to win and all that. But we've been proven wrong in the past. But I said The Brutalist was going to walk away, and look, it was Anora. Old time thinking and mentality was saying, you know what? Demi Moore, who has been in the business for so long, and just because of the substance, she's got like a renewal in her career. She hasn't been in the spotlight in a very long time. And this would be the perfect moment, the perfect occasion to give her something that she's never gotten in the past. And that's Oscar recognition. But no, they didn't. And yes, you could say that she is one of many who tried to make a comeback and failed at this level. But being nominated is still a recognition. But Mikey Madison walked away with the award for Best Actress. Someone very fresh, very new. The only other movie I knew that she was in was Quentin Tarantino's Hollywood movie, or Scream. She was one of the actresses in Scream. And now to be in a small independent movie and win Best Actress is a major achievement. Kieran Culkin winning for A Real Pain, another small independent feature film from Focus Features, right? It's amazing to see what was accomplished and what was acknowledged last night. And it makes me happy. It makes me happy knowing that now, possibly moving into the future, that when it comes to this occasion, when it comes to this moment, when I go through my ballot and I'm predicting winners, it's okay to go with what I originally feel like I should go with. Because guess what? The Academy voting members may be feeling the same as me for the very first time now moving forward. And I got to be more confident about that. Another great example is the animated feature film category. I said The Wild Robot was going to walk away with that win. Why? Because it was, not only was it, praised really well last year, but this is the first time that another major studio can go toe-to-toe with the big dog, and that's Disney. Inside Out 2, out of all the animated films, was the highest grossing film of last year. Out of the nominees here. And was well received by numerous amounts of people. But for a movie done by such a smaller studio, a Latvian studio that did Flow, and they were getting a lot of recognition in other award circuits. The Annies, they won a lot of recognition. My heart said they're the ones that should win. But as I said in my prediction video, I said, I don't think, I think Flow speaks more to an international audience, not what the Academy is. I was proven wrong. And the Academy voted for Flow over The Wild Robot. And again, like I was saying before, major recognition for an independent studio to beat out Disney, DreamWorks, the major studios that are always in this category. What a major accomplishment. You know, and again, it speaks to the great change that we're seeing in the Academy. That they're focusing on storytelling, on impact, and maybe not so much on who's promoting right, who's marketing right, you know, who got a billboard on Sunset Boulevard, you know, who bought a giant ad in the Hollywood Reporter or the New York Times, the For Your Consideration campaigns. You know, I didn't see a lot of that for Flow. I saw minimal amounts of that for Honora, but they don't have the budget at that level where they could really do a lot of that. The Brutalist, I saw a lot of promotion for, don't get me wrong. But A24 is already at that level where they could spend a little bit more money on that, on marketing. But it was so refreshing to see those kinds of things happening last night. And yeah, of course, you got Wicked winning 2 categories, which I knew that they were going to win, which is perfectly fine. I think it's well-deserved. That's a major studio there. Dune 2, getting the love in the technical categories of sound and visual effects, even though I strongly feel like Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes had the better visual effects over Dune. You know, I'm going to keep it real. I mean, it's kind of hard to tell what's real and what's not with those apes running around. And the way they use motion capture. So, am I going to say that they got it wrong? I think they did. But it's nice to see that Denis Villeneuve really got the recognition for that movie. He's going to get more recognition when Dune 3 comes out. It's going to be another Lord of the Rings situation there, where they're going to award him for the trilogy of movies instead of the individual movies. I guarantee it. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. It was also great to see I'm Still Here winning International Feature Film. An entire nation was rooting for this film. And yeah, Fernanda Torres didn't win Best Actress, which is perfectly fine. You know, she got her Golden Globes, and that's great. But International Feature, I'm happy for her. I'm happy for Walter Salles. I'm happy for the country of Brazil. First time winning an International Feature Film. Because remember, this award goes to the country. It doesn't go to Walter. It doesn't go to Fernanda. It goes to the country. And that's major. It's like, you know, winning the World Cup. So I'm happy for them. And Emilia Perez, look, controversies aside, and yeah, Conan had his digs. You know, he had his jokes about Carla Sofia Gascon. But, you know, the crowd was respectable. They showed her a couple of times on TV. She was acknowledged on stage by some of the winners. You know, they clapped. They gave her respect. Remember, she was a nominee for Best Actress. I never thought she was going to win, but they paid her respect. You know, but I'm so happy for Zoe Saldana. Again, I said this before when I first saw this movie. It reminded me of how good of an actress and performer she is, and for a first-time nominee, winning it for the first time, for all the years she's already been in the industry. Plus, I have to give a huge shout out. She's a Queens native, grew up in Queens. Let's go. Fun fact, she went to my high school. I think I was a year or 2 ahead of her in Newtown High School here in Jackson Heights. So I'm happy to say that I went to the same high school as some of the greats in Hollywood, as Don Rickles and Zoe Saldana. So there you go. And the Blockbuster Video I worked at in Forest Hills, Queens, she was a regular customer at for several years. So love to see her win. I'm so happy for her. Um, representing Dominicans, first time Dominican American winner. Awesome stuff. Very, very awesome stuff. So let's quickly go over the results and all that, and then I'll talk about the show as a whole here. So I'm going to share my browser here. You could see my ballot. I'll make it bigger. That should work. Okay. First, I'll say, let me go to the chats real quick. Arnold saying the Oscars was okay. Arnold also saying the last Oscar stream, true as much a failure as the new Captain America movie. You're not wrong there. The Captain America is not having a good time at the box office right now. So, but here, actor in the leading role, Adrian Brody. I knew that was going to happen. So the X's represent my choices, and the checks are the reality, right? So Adrian Brody, really happy. He had a long ass speech, but I loved what he said. Cut the music. I've done this before. I promised to be brief, but of course he wasn't being brief. He just got caught up in the moment. I think it was his fault why Hulu ended the stream early. So you have that. Kieran Culkin, I loved his speech. I thought it was really funny. The back and forth with his wife, the whole thing. What a wonderful guy. And it is funny too. He is kind of like now a younger version of Robert Downey Jr. as far as his wit and his humor and his banter, right? So I love seeing that. And I love that Robert Downey Jr. like acknowledged that too. Actress, unfortunately, Demi Moore didn't get. I'm going to say this, and this may be a little bit controversial. Even though I was applauding for Mikey Madison, I was rooting for her last year. I really thought that she was deserving of this nomination and the win here. But I will say this. I will consider this to be a snub to Demi Moore. The reason why I say that is because, unfortunately, the way the Hollywood machine works is that you only get one chance at a comeback, especially the older you get. And we all know how Hollywood treats older celebrities, older actresses, more so actresses and females over men and what they do. But when you get to a certain age, you are no longer the it thing. You are no longer the hot ticket, right? It's very rare that you get a second chance and a comeback. And for her to come back and do the substance, to elect and agree to do a movie like that, which is very, very different from anything you've ever done in your career before, and to be acknowledged and recognized for your performance, it would have been amazing for the Academy to recognize her for that and to give her kind of a legacy nod. And I've been one of those people in the past who've been very against legacy nominations and legacy wins, especially if it robs someone away from what they deserve as far as recognition and award, right? And I may be, again, I may be going crazy here, and I may be a little bit of a hypocrite, because I do think Mikey Madison deserved all of this. But I think for this one particular moment, it would have been amazing to see Demi Moore walk away with the award here. I think it would have been fantastic. It would have been great optics for the awards, for the Academy. Didn't happen. And I'm slightly disappointed, but at the same time, you got to recognize what is considered to be one of the best performances of last year. And if I were to put Mikey Madison's performance next to Demi Moore's performance, Anora versus The Substance, two fantastic movies, but I already said it. Anora was my favorite film of last year. So there's no argument from me. Just in this weird, very complex moment, I think Demi Moore should have won here. And that's all I'll say about that. So I will say that out of everything that happened throughout the night, this would have been the only snub that I would consider here overall. Well, let me maybe in some of the other technical categories. Maybe Nosferatu deserved to win something, but again, those are just like long shots, and those are just like wishful thinking and everything. So again, very happy for Zoe Saldana, for Emilia Perez. Animated feature film, Flow, huge congratulations to them for that. It is a brilliant movie. Again, I thought Wild Robot was going to go that route, but it didn't. Short film, look, the short categories are a crapshoot. It could go either way. It's very hard, especially for someone like me who doesn't have a chance to watch all of them. So I thought it was going to go to Yuck. It went to In the Shadow of Cypress. I don't know what that short animated film is, but I'm willing to check it out now. I want to see what drove the Academy to vote for that film, and I'm very, very happy for them. So very, very, very happy for anytime a smaller independent studio is recognized for things. Cinematography, I knew the Bruce was going to win. It's one of the strongest things about that movie. But I can argue that both Maria and Nosferatu had fantastic cinematography. So, I would have been happy either way, but that was my choice, and it ended up becoming true. Gorilla Fantasy in the building. What's going on, Gorilla? It's been a while. I hope you're doing well. Something wild about No Other Land? One of the people who worked on it was killed by Palestinians a little over a year ago. He wasn't mentioned in the speech. Talk about some. I didn't know that. But for No Other Land to win, I think still that is a very huge accomplishment for them. And even though that person may have been ignored, again, I didn't know about that. I thought their speech was very strong, especially with everything that's going on right now. Arnold saying, what do you think about the appearance of Queen Latifah? I'll say this. Quincy Jones, and this is one of the notes that I had written down here. Quincy Jones, the love for Quincy Jones was felt throughout the entire evening. If you paid attention, a lot of the musical bits that they would play when people are coming on stage or they're going into break or coming back from break, a lot of those songs that they chose were produced by Quincy Jones, which I thought was great. The Wiz is one of my childhood favorites. I remember watching The Wiz a lot when I was a kid. It was one of the movies that my mom rented for me, and I always asked her to rent for me from the video store because I loved that different take of The Wizard of Oz. I love that it took place in New York. I love that it had Michael Jackson in it and Diana Ross, which is so very different to see. Quincy was very heavy in that. So the performance as a whole was great. Queen Latifah is a very interesting person when you look at her career. As someone who started in hip hop and rap as the angry, militant, fight for your right person to now be like a Hollywood darling and to be like she's now doing what's that, the Equalizer TV show and all that. It's the same transformation that Ice Cube went through. I still can't get over that, but it's working for her. I thought the performance was okay. If anything, it definitely just harkened back my memories to when I was a kid watching The Wiz on videotape. So I thought it was fine, and I thought it was enjoyable enough. Arnold saying, did you actually talk to your friend about the? Oh, I did. I sent him the message. He's working on it right now. Obviously, there's a lot of things he has to work on. The app is still considered new. It just launched late last year, so I'll let you know as far as the updates are concerned with all of that stuff. Gorilla Fantasy said Flow was visually stunning. It probably should have taken visual effects too. When it comes to visual effects, it's kind of tough because it's like, is visual effects going to be looked at only what can be done to a live action product, knowing that animation is all animation, so it's kind of hard to say, but I'm very, very pleased that it won animated feature film overall. I thought I was going back and forth with somebody last night, and sorry, the name escapes me right now. I'm just thinking of a lot of things, and it's one of those things where Flow was in my heart gonna win, but my mind went to old Academy and thinking that they were going to nominate the Wild Robot. They were going to award the Wild Robot. So, Fantasy Gorilla also says Substance deserved a lot more love. Um, yes, but it's one of those things where a movie like that in another year probably would have done better, but there was a lot of categories that were really stacked. Last year was a very huge year for film. It really was. But I've said this before, a lot of people didn't see half of the films on this list because they're just not big budget, big marketed films, you know. But if you're someone in the know, if you're someone who actively goes out and goes to theaters and watches movies and, you know, 10 festivals like I do, you are aware of all of these movies. So it's a very, very stacked year for a lot of things. And, you know, The Substance was a fantastic movie. I still think Demi should have won for actress in that. But at the same time, I'm being a hypocrite. I love Honora, and Mikey's performance was fantastic. So, you know, there you go. Costume design, Wicked. I knew that was going to happen. I did say Wicked was going to win too. And they also won production design as well. Even though I think The Brutalist should have gotten some recognition for production design, and costume should have gotten more love for Nosferatu, but it is what it is. Directing Sean Baker, again, he had like a dream of an evening. It's like it's like a perfect scenario for any independent filmmaker to be able to win every category that you are a part of. Screenplay writing, film editing, directing. It's fantastic. I'm so happy for him. Documentary feature film went to No Other Land. We were just talking about that. Documentary short film went to The Only Girl in the Orchestra, which I think surprised a lot of people because I think a lot of people were expecting I Am Ready Warden was going to win. Film editing, I did think out of, you know, Conclave, fantastic movie, should have gotten recognized a little bit more, I think. But Honora walking away with that, again, I'm not mad about that. Totally deserving. I'm Still Here. I knew that was going to win. Very happy to see them. Makeup and hairstyling, The Substance did win for that. For me, this was tough because it was between The Substance and Nosferatu for me. But I'm happy that I chose The Substance, and I'm happy that the Academy chose it as well. Going back up here, music, original score. I knew The Brutalist was going to win. That's a fantastic score. El Mal, I knew Emilia Perez was going to win in this category. So it looks like they did when it was all said and done. I already mentioned production design, live action, short film. Again, crapshoot went to I'm Not a Robot. I think a lot of people were thinking The Man Who Could Not Remain Silent was going to win. It's hard because, again, it was hard for me to really fully judge and select what was going to win because I didn't get a chance to watch any of these movies. Sound went to Dune Part 2. Dune walked away with the main technical categories in sound and visual effects. And again, I think visual effects should have went to Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, but I'm also happy for Dune Part 2. And writing, the two big categories, I was correct in saying that Conclave was going to win and Honora was going to win. I was right there. Although I will say this, the writing category of original screenplay was extremely tough this year. It was so stacked. Honora, The Brutalist, Real Pain, September 5th, The Substance are all fantastic movies. They're all brilliant movies, all brilliantly written. I really hoped, my heart was saying A Real Pain, because A Real Pain should have gotten more recognition. That movie is fantastic. I could even say the same thing about The Substance or The Brutalist. But I knew Honora was going to walk away with this. There's just too much buzz about Honora. And I went with Honora as my gut vote for this, and it ended up becoming true. I think it was a brilliantly written film, brilliantly executed overall, and I'm happy that it got its recognition. But any one of these, I'll be completely honest, any one of them could have been easily recognized last night, and I would have been thrilled and happy with. So, going back to the chat, Arnold saying, I thought Ariana Grande didn't look good. I'm talking how purely healthy, but Selena Gomez, really a dream. She looked beautiful. I will say this about Ariana Grande. I don't know what's going on with her behind the scenes and all that, but I agree. She does look a little jaunt, a little is that the correct word? Um, I don't know what's happening with her. I just want her to be healthy. And another person who didn't look healthy last night was Mark Hamill. I don't know if you ever paid attention, but as he was walking backstage, he kept breathing very heavily. I don't know what's going on with him too. Again, I just wish him for health. But I will say this: now that we're done talking about the ballots and the results, let's talk about the show as a whole. The opening of Ariana and Cynthia Erivo, their performance was mind blowing. It was really, really amazing. And you could tell that throughout the ceremony, they were doing their best to really pay homage to LA because of all the stuff that's been happening there with the fires and all that. I love that they paid tribute to the firefighters. They had their own little spotlight moment. So I thought that was really, really great. But that opening number between Ariana Grande, Cynthia Erivo, and Defying Gravity to close it out was brilliant. It really brought the house down. Great, great opening. And I thought that was really brilliant. Selena Gomez also lost so much weight. It's amazing. Gorilla saying Wicked committed the cardinal filmmaking sin of being boring as fuck. Well, I mean, I will say this. I was surprised by Wicked. I was not bored with it. I did see the musical, so I kind of knew what to expect. It's kind of hard to do an adaptation like that, and I thought he did a really good job. I thought John Chu really did a good job with it. It wasn't like one of my best films of last year, but I was entertained. At least for me, I was. So Jester's in the building. Jester was the guy. Sorry, for some reason I couldn't pull up your name, but he was the guy I was going back and forth with last night as I was suffering from not being able to watch most of the show live. So I'm glad you're here, and I know you had some thoughts about the show last night, so let me know. Gorilla Fantasy saying Dune 2 was boring for him as well. Not for me, but I'm sorry to hear that you didn't like it. But look, again, it's one of the great things about film. Everyone's going to take something different away from it. So I'm sorry you didn't like it as much as I did, but I'm sure there are a lot of things that you did enjoy last year. Can we have a moment of silence for Michelle Trachtenberg? Not only Michelle Trachtenberg, but Gene Hackman passing away last week. I mean, watching the In Memoriam, and by the way, my only note about the In Memoriam during the ceremony last night is that they're always going to end up forgetting people. That's it. I hate to say it, that's showbiz, but that's just how it's going to be. They're going to focus on a lot of the people that really made a huge, huge, huge impact in Hollywood and on film. That's why Michelle Trachtenberg, unfortunately, was not mentioned. But what they do is that they provide a link to go to a website to kind of recognize other people that may have not been mentioned during that. I haven't checked the website, so I'm hoping Michelle was part of that list. But that was very heartbreaking to see her pass away last week, along with Gene Hackman. So, yes, obviously, moment of silence to both of them. So yeah, my memory of Michelle Trachtenberg may be very different from a lot of you, but I remember seeing her in Eurotrip for the first time. That was my first exposure to her, and I thought she was hilarious. I thought that movie was pretty funny. And then knowing that she also appeared in Buffy the Vampire Slayer and all these other things. So the In Memoriam made me realize how many people we lost last year, and it is heartbreaking. Big names. James Earl Jones, one of them. It's just it's they try their best to recognize everybody, but of course, some things are going to be forgotten, right? And it is unfortunate, but you can't please everybody. So going on through the show, let's talk about Conan. So Conan O'Brien, I think, did a decent job. You could tell they were really trying their best to cater to a younger audience, a more modern audience, not only showing us with results, like with what happened as the winners are concerned, letting us know like the voting body is becoming more modern, is becoming more younger, but they're trying to cater to a younger audience with someone like Conan O'Brien, who obviously has a younger demographic. His humor, if you're a fan of Conan, you would love his humor. You know, the fact that he did that little substance bit, which I thought was hilarious, but I thought went a little too long. His big stabs at companies like Netflix and Amazon, I thought were amazing. He didn't hold back. He really didn't hold back throughout the evening. You know, he had his little stabs at Carla Sofia Gascon. I thought the Adam Sandler bit was funny, but I could see how maybe an older generation would probably have been annoyed about that. I loved his big shout out to people behind the scenes, you know, the carpenters, the lighting people, the sound people, all the people that normally don't get recognized during these award ceremonies. I thought that was really, really good for him. Um, let's see. I love the whole watch time thing, the whole John Lithgow thing, and things going over. There was another thing that Conan did. Oh, the Drake joke. I thought that Drake joke was freaking crazy. I was like, don't worry, everybody, I'm lawyered up. Speaking about Kendrick Lamar and Drake and the whole PDF thing during halftime, I thought that was fantastic. I, he knew that they were running long, so I think when he just kind of abruptly ended the show by saying, "All right, that's it, goodbye," I thought was perfect. I loved how he said Billy Crystal was the best host of the Oscars, because if you grew up like I did during that time, I think you would easily agree that that's true too. Some other things that happened throughout the evening. Bowen Yang just continues to kill it every time he does something. I thought his little shtick during his category of costume design was brilliant. So I thought that was really, really hilarious and funny. June Squibb with her little mention that she's really Bill Skarsgård in makeup. I thought that was really funny. I thought that was good. Interesting timing with the Bond tribute. And I say that because, recently it's made the headlines. Amazon bought all the rights and who has full creative control of the Bond franchise from the Broccolis, who's been running and owning this IP for decades at this point. Very interesting timing to kind of have a tribute to Bond after all this is done. And the Broccolis were in attendance. They were acknowledged. So I don't know, is that says something weird, or if it's like a reminder to people that the Bond franchise is probably one of the longest running movie franchises in history, that it's not going anywhere. Or maybe this is a farewell to the Bond as we once knew it, in preparation before Amazon destroys the living hell of it. I don't know. But another example of how they were catering to a younger audience here is the performances that they had during that Bond montage. You had Margaret Qualley doing her little dance, being all sexy and stuff like that. And then you had Lisa, Doja Cat, and Ray performing all the major songs. It was very, very interesting to see all that, because I feel like only a younger generation would know who these people are. So overall, I thought that was an interesting move. And again, very, very interesting timing for a Bond tribute. The cinema streams promotion that Conan did about the new streaming experience to go into a building, oh, that really had me dying. The whole thing, like, we take all of these cell phone screens and put it into one giant screen. We start the movie for you. And then the whole thing, well, isn't this just a movie? And then they cut it. And I thought that was freaking hilarious. And again, a nice little reminder how important cinema is and trying to get people back into theaters. I think that was a huge message throughout the evening, especially with Sean Baker. And I'm going to bring that up in a little bit. Ben Stiller, he's still very good at the visual comedy with the whole production design bit and the rising and falling of the lift there. I thought that was really funny. I mentioned before the Quincy Jones love and all that. I thought Ease on Down the Road was fun, entertaining. I don't know if I would agree that Queen Latifah was the right person for that, but it harkened back to me growing up and watching that movie over and over again. Conan had another great bit about mentioning that Honora was winning big that night, and how it looks like Americans are ready to stand up to a powerful Russian. That got huge applause. I thought that was again another bold dig at something really really big. So I thought that was brilliant of him and very Conan. I thought that was very very Conan. Um, the Adrian Brody speech did go on way too long. I did love that he's like, stop the music from I've done this before. I thought that was kind of funny. Um, let's see. And yeah, I mentioned before that I do think Demi got snubbed. Let's talk about the Sean Baker speeches, right? So I felt like he got all of his thanks away out of the way when he won for screenplay and when he won for editing. I loved how he said he saved the edit. He saved the movie in edit, which I thought that was great. His plea for cinema and theatrical experiences is very important. I could not have agreed more. If I was in attendance, I probably would have stood up and started clapping myself. That is a huge message. And I'm really, really happy that he brought that into the spotlight at a big grand event like this. I love how he said his message to filmmakers is keep making film for the big screen. With streaming services, and you have filmmakers now focusing on producing and creating films for Netflix and for cell phones, and the whole thing they're trying to do with TikTok and shorts. It's ridiculous. That's not film. That's not movies. So I love that he did that. And huge message to distributors to focus on theatrical releases. It goes back to my whole problem with the windows of theatrical release versus home video. I think they should really, really start paying more attention to that. I'm sure Bob Iger was happy to hear that too, because Bob Iger has been a huge person to agree with that type of movement, with a lot of the Disney shakeup and moves that he's doing. I have some other notes and criticisms, but before I do all that, let's go back to the chat real quick. Gorilla Fantasy, R.I.P. Bond. The franchise is a mummified facsimile of what it used to be fun at the movies. Well, what used to be fun movies. I think with Bond, I liked what they tried to do with the Daniel Craig thing, and it worked sometimes, but other times it didn't. They went a little bit too serious, which is perfectly fine. If you could do it right, that's fine. I'm afraid of what's going to happen moving forward with Amazon behind creative control. So I don't know what's going to happen there. Are they going to make it more along the lines of like Mission Impossible and what they're doing with that franchise now? I don't know. It also boils down to who is going to be the new Bond, right? So we'll see what happens. That was another brilliant joke that Conan took a stab at Amazon for. Jester saying, I feel like when the person accepting the Amelia Perez Award starts singing, it just showed how absurd the people who worked on that movie were. Well, these are thespians. These are creative people. And a lot of creative people are not like you and me. They're very abstract. They're very different. I know a lot of people like her. Especially when I used to work at Starbucks, I know a lot of creative people. A lot of people are like that, and it's fine. She had a grand stage moment. She wanted to do what she did. And yeah, some people are loony and batty, but it does kind of speak to that movie because it was an off the wall type of movie too. But honestly, I enjoyed it. It's because of that I enjoyed the movie. My phone, I apologize for the noises coming out of it. So some other things that I wrote here, with Flo and Honora winning big, that's really huge message for independent film, independent studios. I would love to see that continue. What did you guys think about the personal introductions of every nominee in categories like supporting actor, supporting actress, when it comes to a lot of the more creative categories, costume design, production design, cinematography, having each person that was involved in that movie on the other side speaking favorably about that person. I think that's brilliant versus just having individual clips play out. However, with that being said, why didn't they do that with the major acting categories with best actor and best actress. Why didn't they do that with directing? I think they should have kept that same premise with all of those categories. How amazing would it have been to see Mikey Madison talk about Sean Baker and how it was working with him. How having maybe the directors on stage talking about how it was to work with Adrian Brody, Timothy Chalamet, right? Coleman Domingo, or Mikey Madison or Cynthia Erivo or Demi Moore. They should have kept it personal until just having the personal stuff for just the supporting categories and then clips for the major categories. That was a little off. That was a little bit, I don't understand why they did that. Nick Offerman as the Oscar announcer, was that necessary? I don't know. I think it could have been anybody. Last night was major wins for independent studios like A24, Neon, Focus Features. I was really happy to see that. I mentioned already before that Sean Baker had a dream night scenario for any independent filmmaker. Is there anything else? I think that's it. That's really it. So that is, in a nutshell, is pretty much the ceremony as a whole. I mean, when I was actually able to watch it, I think I enjoyed it for the most part. I will say, though, that there were some bits and moments where it kind of stalled and dragged. Some of the humor fell flat, but that's very Conan type humor. The opening, when he did the whole thing about, the musical number about he doesn't want to waste your time, that didn't land for me. But that is something that you would expect from Conan, to do something silly like that. It was nice to see Billy Crystal and Meg Ryan together again on stage. That seems to be a trend that they're trying to do every year. They're trying to reunite like a famous like movie duo from the past to present Best Picture and all that. So very, very interesting stuff overall. If I were to rate the ceremony as a whole, letterbox style, I would probably give it 4 out of 5 stars. So that is my recap of the Oscars. I'm curious to hear what all of you think about it. Let me know in the chat. And as I catch up with the chat right now, Jester saying my favorite Bond was Pierce Brosnan. Pierce Brosnan was a good one for the time. I grew up, obviously, in the 80s, so my Bond will always be Roger Moore. I grew up watching Roger Moore as James Bond, so he will always be my Bond. But Pierce Brosnan was definitely a Bond that I will always remember. I think outside of Daniel Craig and the more modern Bonds, Pierce Brosnan's Bonds were some of the best ones that I've seen. So, and Pierce was still doing the Bond, which was more about spectacle and was more about, the funness of a Bond franchise, very much like Roger Moore. So, it harkens back to a different type of storytelling when it comes to the Bond franchise. Jester saying the 2025 Oscars were better than anything Kimmel could have done. Kimmel has a different vibe, a different energy, and Kimmel works better for an older audience. Conan works better for a more modern, younger audience. So if their focus is really to go towards modern and younger, then Conan was the right choice. I think those of us of age appreciate Conan's humor and what he did, his boldness with his jokes and his little jabs at things and people. And like I said, the feeling I got from last night's ceremony was that they were really trying to focus on a younger crowd. The Bond performances by a lot of artists that are known more to younger people. The results were very in tune with a younger audience, a more modern cinephile. So I think overall, you could kind of sense that they were really trying to cater to that audience. And did they succeed? I guess time will tell. What did they go? Where did they go from here? First of all, they need to figure out their streaming solution, because Hulu is definitely not it. I don't want to keep bringing it up over and over again, but I'm still disappointed with the whole Hulu situation, obviously. But they need to figure out where to stream. Would it be Netflix? Is that like their best choice? Could it be Max? Maybe something like an HBO Max. I don't know. But they need to figure out a streaming home. Maybe create their own. I don't know. Then, and if you want to charge people $10 to watch the show, I'll be down for that. It's a lot better than what I got last night. So but it'll be interesting to see where they go from here and what they do with the show moving forward. Who's going to be the future host? And of course, it'll be interesting to see who's going to get recognized next year and all that. But it was really, really nice to see all the results last night. And even though I only got 15 out of 24 categories, I'm happy with the categories that I missed out on, because those are the ones that in my heart I would have loved to see win regardless. So, and it speaks more again to if you look at like my favorite films of last year, it speaks more to what I consider to be some of my favorites of last year and what I was praising last year with the movies that I saw. So there you go. There you have it. Curious to hear anyone else's thoughts on the show last night. But I'm going to take a break because I've been talking a whole lot of shit. And I'm getting kind of winded. By the way, I appreciate all the support today, guys. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Don't forget to hit that like button if you're watching here live. Would be greatly appreciated. It's funny. I've been so inundated with personal stuff, and my eventual move that's happening very soon. I don't even know what movie's coming out this week. So I'm going to check real quick to see what movie's coming out this week. Is it Novocaine? Is Novocaine the movie that's coming out this week? Let me see. Let me know in the chat what movies that are coming out in this month of March. I can't believe we're in March already. What movies in the month of March are you looking forward to? Where's my app? Why can't I find my app? Oh, Regal's having a Monday mystery movie tonight. Oh, that's interesting. I don't think I'll be able to make it, but those are always fun. Has anyone here, have you done like the Monday mystery movies? Or like the AMC Unseen? Like those things? I always like doing those things. I'm really looking forward to Mickey 17, Jester says. It comes out soon. I am too. I'm very, very curious about that movie. I'm a huge fan of Bong Joon-ho. I thought Parasite and Anora share a similar record where they are the only, they are 2 of 4 films that won the Palme d'Or at Cannes and Best Picture at the Oscars. So they are on an elite list, which is fantastic to see. And I've been really, really dying to see what he was going to do for this next film. I'm a little concerned because of all the pushbacks and the date changes. It's blowing up in Korea right now. Korea is the only country that has it right now. And it's doing really well there. So I am curious to see it myself. Gorilla saying, my sofa smells like old BO. I gotta go ahead and get the hell out of here.
Wow.
Get a little bit Febreze. I think if you get some Febreze, that should clean things up real quick. Let's see. Oh, Mickey 17's opening up this week. Okay. Looks like we'll have a chance to see that very soon then. All right. I'm actually, oh man, this weekend I'm going to another convention for work. I'll have to find a way to make time to see this for sure. Because I really, really want to check that movie out. I'm so curious about that movie. Sorry, guys, just give me one moment here. God, some of the news, some of the news headlines. Ugh. All right, all right. So I don't know how much longer I'm going to be online. Again, I streamed later than normal, and I really, really wanted just to focus on the Oscars. So let me know if there's any topics you guys want me to cover or talk about. Right now, let's go into the weekend box office, which was very piss poor, by the way. It's one of the slowest performing box office weekends that coincides with Oscar weekend in history. Right now, there isn't like a whole lot to talk about as far as box office is concerned. And I think it'll be really interesting to talk about what we're seeing with Captain America right now. So I'm going to switch browsers real quick. I'm here on thenumbers.com, the site I always go to for all my data and stats when it comes to movie box office. Coming in first place for this past weekend was Captain America Brave New World, pulling in $15 million. When your top movie pulls in $15 million, then you know what kind of weekend you're looking forward to. So it's there. It's all right. We should talk about this. The previous weekend, I didn't get a chance to talk about that because I did not stream. But the previous weekend, we saw a 68% drop from Captain America from its opening weekend. I said I was expecting to see like 60-ish% drop. This went way above that. And it went from making an opening of 88.8 million to dropping to 28.1 million and then pulling in 14 million. Huge drops. And the reason why this is happening is because word of mouth, everyone who wanted to see the movie already saw it during its opening weekend. Those who haven't and were still curious probably saw it the following weekend. Those very few who probably wanted to see it for the second time decided to see it again. But I don't think there's going to be a lot of repeat viewing for this. It's showing that it's not happening. So far, overall, domestically, it grossed $163.5 million. Internationally, it pulled in 178.4 for an overall worldwide box office of 341.9. It's definitely on a lower tier of performance when it comes to the Marvel films. And I think this speaks highly on the quality of movie it is, really. I didn't like it that much at all, really. I gave it a 2 out of 5 stars. I've said that before. And I think a lot of people are feeling the same way. Now, does this spell doom for Marvel and the MCU moving forward? We will not know until Fantastic Four comes out. I think there is a lot of anticipation for Fantastic Four. Yes, Thunderbolts, I think, comes out before Fantastic Four, but I'm not expecting big things from that movie. I think we're going to see a similar performance for Thunderbolts like we're seeing for Captain America. We'll see, time will tell. But that's my expectation. That's my prediction that I'm going into with that. Coming in second place is the new release from last week, and that is Last Breath. That stars Woody Harrelson and Simu Liu. It is from Focus Features. I'm actually hearing pretty decent stuff about this movie, so I hope I get a chance to see it soon. Pulled in $7.8 million over opening weekend. The Monkey debuted the weekend prior, fell to third place from second. This is Osgood Perkins, his follow-up to Longlegs from Neon. Big drop, 54%, only pulling in $6.4 million, $24.6 million overall domestically. I don't know if this is throwing a lot of people off because it's considered to be more of a comedy horror instead of just horror. I haven't had a chance to see it yet, but I think a lot of people are a little disappointed with that choice of tone for a movie like this. So we'll see what happens moving forward. Coming in fourth place is Paddington in Peru, $4.5 million, $31.3 million so far domestically. With its worldwide total, oh my gosh, 164.3 worldwide. I think at this point, this movie is speaking to a more broader international audience, and it's pulling in a lot of money from the international market. Dogman, still in theaters, dropped to fifth place. 4.2 million over the weekend, 84.1 million domestically overall. Mufasa the Lion King is in sixth, still pulling in box office numbers despite it already being available on demand. Coming in sixth place with 1.9 million, 248 million overall domestically. With its international total, it's $706.9 million for this less than mediocre film from Disney. Ni 2 is that outstanding performing Chinese produced animated film. 1.7 million domestically, 17.9 million, but it's not domestic where they're getting all the money from. If you look at it, it's all from China. $1.7 billion internationally. Majority of that, 95% of that, I will say, is from the Chinese market. So far this year, it is the top performing film of the year and the first to cross $1 billion. So this will be very interesting to see when the year is all said and done. And when it comes to Oscars next year, will this, being an animated film that got very little play here in the United States, will this be in consideration and in contention for Best Animated Feature Film in the next year's Oscars? We'll see what happens. But that's like a nice thing to kind of put on a post-it, stick it on the wall, and to check out where everything comes out at the end of the year. It'll be really interesting to see where things pan out. Coming in eighth place is Hard Eyes, $1.3 million, 28.8 domestically so far. Unbreakable Boy in ninth place, Lionsgate. This is what's that guy? Zach Levi. I believe he's in this movie. $1.2 million, 4.5. I believe this is a follow-up to that movie Wonder. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'll just be honest. I have no desire to see this movie. It's just not my kind of movie. But that is in ninth place there. And rounding out the top 10 is One of Them Days, the comedy with Keke Palmer, $915,000, $47.4 million overall domestically. Right outside, we had a couple of newer films also, Riff Raff and Mobile Suit Gundam, the latest movie there from GKids. Not really making much of a dent at the box office. So that's where we stand with the weekend box office this past weekend. But yeah, Captain America, not a good thing for, not a good sign for Marvel and Disney there. I'm sure they're very disappointed at its outcome. I won't be surprised if we see this hitting on demand very soon because of its poor box office performance. But listen to Sean Baker. Focus on theatrical. Don't focus so much on the windows for home release and all those things. So there you have it. And this week, oh, I'm out of focus. What is happening? Focus on me, please. Maybe it's the mic that's throwing things off here. But yeah, with Mikey 17 or Mickey 17, sorry, I'm confusing it with Mikey. What am I talking about anymore? Mikey Madison of Honora. Mickey 17 opens up this week. So my prediction for Mickey 17 this week, I think there's going to be a lot of curiosity because this movie has kind of been floating around for so long. I think people are, cinephiles and movie lovers are anticipating Bong Joon's follow-up to Parasite. So I think a lot of people are going to be looking forward to that. I also believe this is his first English-speaking film that he's directed, I think. Don't come at me if I'm wrong in that. I believe I'm right in this. So I think a lot of people are going to be very curious to see how this movie goes and how this movie does. And I think if people are just fans of Robert Pattinson, they're going to wonder what this movie is all about. So I don't think it's going to do big box office. I'm probably predicting 30 to 40 million this weekend. So we'll see what happens. But I'll let all of you guys know when we do our recap next Monday. So I know Jester's looking forward to Mickey 17. I'm looking forward to Mickey 17. Let me know if anyone else is looking forward to that as well. All right, I think I'm going to cut the stream in like about 5 minutes or so. So if there's anything you guys want to talk about or want me to cover, let me know in the chat before I bid you adieu for the rest of the week. I got more painting to do, more cleaning up. After I stream it, I'm going to run over to Home Depot because I got to pick up some supplies. And then this weekend, I'm going to be working a convention in Boxborough, Massachusetts. So if you're going to be in the Boxborough area and you're going to be attending the convention there, check us out. We are Knights of the Comic. Check out the My Facilitator app. We're going to be hosting once again Jerry Conway, the legendary comic book writer Jerry Conway. If you're not familiar with him, he is the guy responsible for killing off Gwen Stacy. And also for the first confrontation of Punisher and Spider-Man in comic books. So we're very happy and honored to be hosting him once again at Boxborough. So definitely hang out with us. Come say hi. Get an autograph. Get a comic book graded. All that good stuff will help you with that process overall. And once again, fuck you, Hulu. You suck.
Fuck off! You blew
it! All right, guys. If no one else has anything else to comment on or suggest or recommend, then I am going to bid you adieu for the day and for the week. I really, really appreciate you guys tuning in. Again, very sorry, and I apologize for last night's snafu. Obviously, it was out of my control. So I appreciate all of you guys understanding. I appreciate you guys with your support today. Again, huge shout out to everyone who joined in on the stream. Arnold, Kevin Davis, Gorilla Fantasy. Always a pleasure seeing you when you can make it. Goals, Jester, Mr. Jester. Always a pleasure having you on the stream. And I appreciate our little conversations and little back and forth on the Oscars last night. I will be back next Monday. Barring any scheduling conflicts, I should be back again 3 p.m. Eastern Time next Monday. Daredevil Born Again debuts this week, so I'm going to try my darndest to do a special review on Daredevil. This has been one of my most anticipated shows coming out in recent years. I'm a huge fan of Daredevil. I'm planning to do a series just on Daredevil alone. I'm calling it Devil is in the Details, a Daredevil look into series and all that. So make sure to stay tuned for that. It's a busy week for me. If I'm late with posting stuff and uploading things, please bear with me for now because I have so much going on. But I promise you things are going to get better when a lot of this stuff is all said and done. So with all that being said, let me get on out of here for now. Make sure to tip your waitress and your bartender. Turn off your phones at the movie theaters. Be kind to your neighbors. Stay cool, stay classy, stay safe, and I will catch all of you next time. Peace out, y'all. Bye-bye.